Okay, in the last few videos we've talked about what makes up the innate values system that most of us seem to carry within our personality. We've discussed the 10 different domains that we need to understand so we can start to take actions in the areas of life that are important to us at this particular moment in time. We've also looked at the values themselves, starting with the 5 most common of these that sit fundamentally at the foundation of our core. Next, we're going to talk about the authentic core beliefs, the things that we need to do so we can manifest our values within our daily activities. So let's talk about it. I want to start things off with a bit of a statement. From this particular point of view, in other words, living the life we want to live, when we're defining our authentic core beliefs, we are not exploring our opinions about the different aspects of the world. We'll actually get into that later on when we talk about the development of our own worldview. When we're defining what we mean by authentic core beliefs, we're referring to the way in which we manifest our 5 core values within our day-to-day behaviours. In other words, it's not about what we're doing or what we're achieving, it's about how we're being when we're doing and achieving these things. The beliefs we want to explore are the expectations we're going to hold ourselves to so we can be the person we want to be in the areas of life that are important to us, which are the things that we've previously defined. These expectations are also the same things we hold those around us to when we want to bring them into our inner circle of support. When we surround ourselves with people who hold the same values and beliefs about the way of being in order to manifest these values in behaviours, then we can have very different opinions to the people we're talking to, and the conversation about these opinions will be respectful and safe. We can completely disagree on any given subject and be totally okay with this disagreement because the way we're conversing about these opinions doesn't cross our own personal boundaries. In fact, I'd even go so far as to say that if we only have people around us that affirm our point of view all the time, we're existing in what's commonly called an echo chamber, and this is not a healthy space for us to be in. If we want to achieve a dialectical, wise mind perspective, we have to be open to the practice of brainstorming, which is basically when we're listening to other people's point of view, things that might make us feel a bit uncomfortable at times, but we do this without a rigid perspective that we need to be right. When we have a drive to be right, one that's concrete within our system, we usually react with things like anger that pushes people away, or a complete system shutdown where we end relationships that we later regret ending because we had the perception that we can't be friends with someone who disagrees with us or our opinion. Our authentic core beliefs define the way in which we want to act. They create the way of being that lines up with the 5 core values. They are the standard by which we hold ourselves to and the guiding light we continue to bring ourselves back to when we inevitably fail, because failure is just a given when we're trying to live the life we want to live. I've been trying to live this way for over a decade, and to be quite honest, I fail all the time. What causes us to fail is when there's an active, maladaptive and ineffective schema that's dominating our thoughts, our feelings and our behavioural responses. And this is going to happen for the simple reason that we are human beings. When there's a maladaptive early childhood schema that's active in our system, we're in a fear-based state. And this is what we mean by a state of emotional distress. Emotional distress activates fight, flight, freeze, submit or distract reactions, and these reactions show up as habitual behavioural responses. This is what makes the skills of dialectical behaviour therapy so important for us to practice so we can make new behavioural changes habitual. Having an idea of how we believe we want to behave if we're being the person we want to be is absolutely integral to living the life you want to live. It's the striving for this perfection that creates the growth we're looking for, understanding that we will fail at different points in time, but bringing curiosity and compassion to this failure instead of how we used to deal with it, which probably revolved around judgment and criticism that leaves us filled with guilt and toxic shame. So how do we know what the difference is between our authentic core beliefs and the beliefs that are connected to a maladaptive schema? The answer to this question is really quite simple. Our authentic core beliefs are a description of the way we want to behave if we're being the best possible version of ourselves. And if you're struggling to define this, you might want to take a look at the adapted version of the miracle question I discussed in a previous video. The thing to remember is that nobody gets to tell you what your beliefs look like for you. You and you alone get to decide what your beliefs are all about, because they're a representation of the way that you want to behave. And just like the 10 domains, absolutely nobody has the right to tell you how to do this. We choose the different behaviours that we want to exhibit, and then we live by the consequences of these choices. What we tend to find is that if we're behaving in a way that activates that kind of uncomfortable, icky feeling that we might not recognise at first as being guilt or even shame, then we're probably doing or being something that's compromising our core values and beliefs. Your beliefs are shaped by a number of different things. Beliefs can vary from culture to culture, family to family, and even from individual person to person. As we've talked about in a couple of different videos before, most people have the same values. It's the beliefs about the manifestation of these values that differ from person to person. For example, what I believe respect, honesty, safety, loyalty and integrity looks like for me might be very different to what they look like for a person who's had a different upbringing to me, someone with a different cultural or ethnic background to me, or even different individual experiences to me. And at the same time, my beliefs might be exactly the same as someone who's had all of these different influences in their lives. The fact is, we never really know for sure how our own personal systems are going to line up until we actually take the time, with curiosity and compassion, to get to know each other. And obviously, this is a really important aspect of living the life you want to live. So if you're someone that's tired of living a life that's guided by a system which is dominated by behaviours that don't line up with who you want to be, I highly recommend looking at the exercises connected to this particular video and the programs that we offer at the Liberation Place. If you want to know more, come join the live online conversations that I facilitate for free each week on Zoom, where we get to talk about behaviour change from a dialectical behaviour therapy and a schema therapy perspective. As always, if you haven't already, please throw a like on this particular video and subscribe to the channel, because it really helps me to spread the word about what I think is an incredibly effective way to change those unwanted behaviours that we're desperately trying to change. I hope this video gave you some insight for what it takes to define your own personal, authentic core beliefs. Take a look at the video right here if you want to know more about doing the work connected to this particular aspect of living the life you want to live. Hope to see you again soon. Take care, be safe, and be well.